you. I know I connected with your team earlier and we were able to really get a good understanding of what Panera has done, is doing, and what they're looking to do towards the future. And so I'm wanting to just kind of get a little bit of information on, give us a background on you. I know you came into the company at a very interesting time. I think it was May of 2020, and you probably didn't think you were going to go into something this challenging, but I think your background overall really helped support innovation. And I think just the legacy of Panera as a whole really kind of helped with that too, because I think there was already a foundation that started with that, correct?
Absolutely, Cerisse, it's great to be here. I assume you're speaking from Cannes, France.
Yes, in my bedroom. No, just kidding.
Same here. I'm in Ohio visiting a franchisee. No, yes, I joined in March last year. Yes, when I accepted the job was pre-pandemic, so interesting
Mhm.
time to join. But to your point, Panera has a long tradition of innovation and disrupting itself and the marketplace. And we took full advantage of that culture of innovation to navigate the pandemic successfully. And 12 a year and a half or whatever later, we are growing Panera versus pre-pandemic levels, and the team is very proud of that.
Now you have a very interesting background because it's not CPG, it's not QSR, it's actually CPG. Do you want
Right.
to kind of go into in some instances as to like what led you to going into the QSR category as a whole, and then how your CPG and even your time at Accenture actually helped you get to the point where you are right now?
Sure. Yeah, look, I fell in love very early with the consumer space and how to interact with consumers and all that. But my career by chance was always on the CPG space. So I work on beverages, personal care, home care, food and beverages. Um, and CPG is a great business, but interestingly, people forget that's basically a B2B2C business. You have to do things through your retail partners, which is fun, no problem. But the beauty of restaurant brands is basically a gigantic direct to consumer brand, and that always appealed to me. I always dream of having like a brand that you can speak directly to your consumers and see how they react in real time. That's exactly what Panera is, and it's a dream to manage this brand in this business. So the moment I had the opportunity to join a company like that, I thought it was too good to pass.
So you talked about the B2B and then versus the B2C consumer. Can you go into more of that? Because I feel like you probably have more of a touch point with that person right away where you can actually see, and it probably impacts how you guys make decisions, not only from a marketing standpoint, but also from just food selection in your menu.
No, totally. Look, in our cafes, given the data that we have, and Panera has a largest loyalty program in the industry. We have 43 million members in the program, right? So it's very easy for us. The data is available to see how people are reacting to what we're doing, and we know in a matter of days, not even weeks, if things that we're doing are resonating with our guests, the way we call them. And it's fascinating and it's humbling because half of the time you're wrong about things and you have to be humble to continue to listen and adjust and improve the experience over time. But it's a fascinating feedback loop of days and weeks that you have to react to, and I'm loving it. My team is used to that, and I'm still learning. But I think we're taking full advantage of that data availability ourselves.
Wonderful. So you talked about innovation, and I know Panera has led the front on many different opportunities. One specifically that you launched prior to the pandemic was your unlimited coffee subscription.
Right.
Can you go into that?
Right. So the idea was high quality coffee in this country is extremely expensive, as we know, and it does not have to be. Right. Panera has an amazing quality coffee, the best source, and the best processes and all that. And we said, what if we find a way to democratize access to high quality coffee and find a way to create a flywheel that will benefit Panera in the sense that it's such a great value that people will come and generate traffic to our cafes. And once there, they will benefit from the experience of being there or buying digitally and attach some food items from our menu to that trip. And this is exactly what's happening. So we have hundreds of thousands of subscribers now to our program. It's over 10% of our traffic. And as you can imagine, we convince those guests, those subscribers, to attach a lot of times when they come. So it is an experience that benefits everybody. For the guests, for $9 a month, they can have unlimited premium coffee, which is, I think we're the first ones in the industry to do it at scale. For us, it's new people, more traffic, and more food attachment. So it's a win-win on both sides.
I can see it brings in consistent traffic consistently, for like coming in all the time for the same products. Yeah. Plus you have your amazing breakfast things. I think my favorite breakfast item that you have, I guess you can do it all day, but is the cinnamon crunch bagel. I mean, that to me is money. It's not only the bagel that you actually want to have in the morning, but it's a kind of a little sweet treat. So with a cup of coffee, it's just perfect.
No, I love it. Yep, absolutely.
And then I think with the loyalty program that you have, the My Panera, that's kind of tapped into that too, right? So it's not only just utilizing the subscription base, but you're actually growing your My Panera subscription as well.
Right. So to become a subscriber, to enjoy that value on coffee, you need to become a My Panera member, right? And that grew our base dramatically. We saw that over 30% of the people who subscribed were new to My Panera, right? And once they join My Panera, they become members of My Panera. We can talk to them one-to-one, given the digital tools that we have. And when we do that, not only, of course, we benefit, but they also benefit because they receive a more personalized treatment in terms of what we offer them and, our surprise and delight programs. So, so far so good. We continue to grow the program. And it's a true flywheel that we created pre-pandemic, but we continue to expand.
Awesome. And you've taken innovation and kind of led the industry in the fact that you had self-service kiosks were the first ones to do that, as well as utilize your tablets to actually place orders, or when you get into the store, you can actually put your information in. So you have contactless interaction with even somebody paying. So you were pre-pandemic already setting yourselves up for success. How did you think, or how did you see that actually transitioning when the pandemic actually hit? And do you think you had like a smoother transition than you even expected to have? Basically, you planned for it when not even knowing it was going to happen.
Yeah. No, look, we took, we took full advantage of the legacy digital capabilities that we have, and of course, things, are migrating from kiosks to, your iPhone, but that's natural. What happened to our business, which was very dramatic, is that long-term trends of shifts towards off-premise eating accelerated dramatic with the pandemic. So Panera became 85% off-premise, which for us was completely unheard of. Yeah. And yes, being digital savvy and have the a great app and a great experience digitally helped. We also, try to increase or improve points of access and convenience for our guests. So we launched curbsides. We improved our app experience to be even more seamless during the pandemic. And our guests reacted to that, right? So, we have a channel like delivery growing, triple digits for us, like, growing 170% month on month, right? So those things surprised us in terms of how fast they happened, but I'm sure they were enabled by the digital capabilities that we had as a legacy.
Awesome. You kind of touched upon this, but my next question was around your loyalty program. So how were you, and you kind of mentioned it because you introduced the coffee to grow your legacy program or your My Panera program, but how do you differentiate the messaging to them versus trying to get new people to come in?
Right. Different parts of the media mix, they have different roles to play, right? So, once you are a My Panera member, we're going to interact with you in a way that's much more personalized. But at the same time, we're always trying to attract new guests, no matter, the funnel that we use. So we use like from, linear TV that you see an amazing sandwich and you want to come for the first time, to things like OTT, things like digital. depending on the part of the funnel that you have and the level of relationship that you have with us, we use different tools to talk to you. And in the end, right? It's not one or the other. We have to talk to as many people as we can around the funnel. But then once they converted to become a My Panera member or a subscriber, then the relationship becomes much more personal, and we benefit from that, and so the guest does.
Awesome. When I think of Panera and how I, besides going on after like maybe Sundays after mass, to go get my cinnamon crunch bagel, I used to use Panera a lot for catering because I had to go to client meetings, and I did a lot of lunch and learns, and that was just easy, it was perfect. I used to go to the General Motors office a lot, and they literally had a Panera inside their office. So it was easy just from a catering standpoint. But now that I'm sure that part of the business has declined, how are you guys going about tackling that? Because you still want that revenue, but what are you doing from an innovation standpoint to be able to still capitalize on people who maybe want to do it virtually or other means?
Totally. Yeah, Panera is the largest caterer in the market in the US, which is amazing. It used to be a big part of our business, and yes, it was very hard hit by the pandemic, right? So we did a couple of things to reinvent catering. Some of them very cool. We launched something that we call Panera Connects, which is, if you are having a meeting with your team via Zoom, the leader of the call can have a virtual voucher and give the voucher to everybody around the call. People click, and the food will come to your house, around a certain time limit, and people are gonna eat Panera. That's what they're doing around the Zoom call, as if they were in a room, right? And that the digital voucher takes care of everything, pays for the foods, the tip, delivery fees, and all that. And if the amount that the person put on the voucher is not used, it's just returned to the person's credit card in a very seamless way. Yeah. So people are loving that because, even, now that we're going post-pandemic, a lot of teams are still working from home. That's going to stick. So that ability to have this connectivity and that thing that bonds people around, as simple as, all eating together, the same thing called Panera, is very interesting. So we did that. The other thing that we did is for people that are back in the office, we created this concept of Panera Day at Work. So there, it's a catering order, but instead of a group order that you put in a room or a meeting room, people can order individually. And then we group the order and drop the order in the lobby of the company, in your case, GM. And then people can go there and collect their food individually, go back to their workplace if they want by themselves, so they don't have to be close to people. So that's that's a combination of a catering concept and the delivery concept, but people can benefit from the delivery fees, which on catering that are better, right? So that reinvention, we are generating benefits with that. The business is coming back. It's still declining versus pre-pandemic, but we believe that catering is going to be back, but in a different shape and form from what it was before.
I can see that, especially from a sales perspective. Like I may have some people that want to go back into the office from clients, and I may have some people in that same office that only want to be at home. So now I can do both. I can satisfy both services. So I'm excited to try it up again and see how it goes. I just need to get people to go back into the office more. Yes. But either way, it'll be fun. Talking about food, since this is our conversation, I know you guys launched some new menu items, and something surprised me when I saw it. Was pizza. I don't really view Panera as a place for pizza, but I mean, it makes sense, right? You guys are a bakery. You make bread, so why couldn't you just make some kind of flatbread or some kind of pizza factor? Can you go into how that even came about? Like most of the time when I think Panera, I think sandwiches, soups, salads, not pizza really.
Yeah, to your point, our base is a lunch occasion around the soup, sandwiches, and salads, and it's completely fine. And we love this business, and we continue to grow this business. We saw an opportunity for us that our guests gave us permission to explore, which was a platform that we called Warm and Hearty. which is as opposed to a typical lunch occasion, is things that are more dinner worthy, right? So they are, shareable, they're filling, they're warm. And there we have basically three platforms. We have pizza, which is the star of the show. We have warm bowls, so bowls with a protein and a salad, or something that complements the protein, and our mac and cheese that we are reimagining and in a very fun way and doing well. So when we came up with this logic, what we saw is that warm and hearty platform led by pizza generated a lot of new occasions for us. Mm-hmm. And right now, for instance, the fastest part of our business is dinner, funny enough, right? And we know that with the working from home behavior, people were eating later and skipping dinner and so on and so forth. So skipping lunch. So with dinner, we have this occasion that now we can participate that we didn't before. And things like weekends and Friday evenings that were not a Panera occasion. Now they are becoming a Panera occasion. Weekends became as big as weekdays for us. So we're very pleased. It's already a big part of our business. Is the most incremental innovation we have ever launched at Panera, and attracting a lot of new people to the franchise. And with that, they discover what else we have. For instance, sandwich, soups, and salads. Mm-hmm. So again, it's a little flywheel there. So we are pleased with the launch. More to come there, but so far so good.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that you guys actually decreased 30% of your menu. We're probably like maybe minimizing it to try to really serve the proper times. And have you got any feedback from customers on it? Do you think they even really noticed? Or because like whenever I go to Panera, I always see that there's your seasonal items, so I know that there's always going to be change. Right. But did you get any slack from your consumers about that, or they were just like, no, fine with the new stuff?
When you take things out of the menu, there is always someone that's going to be complaining. That's for sure. Okay. So we did that in the beginning of the pandemic. We took advantage of the crisis and we cut a third of the menu to simplify our operations and to open space to launch things like warm and hearty, mm-hmm. pizza, etc. Right? Surprisingly, given the magnitude of the cuts, a lot of the sales of those items, which is all tail items, right, on the menu, they stayed with us. So people continue to come, but eating something else. So it was a good thing. And we intend to continue to be simplified because, in the end of the day, there's always this tension, this balance of, how much, breadth you can offer to your guests versus the experience that you provide to them, right? And, as more focused we can be, the experience is going to be more consistent over time. And with that, the guests will be better served. So yes, we cut 30%, we will continue to be simplified.
I did notice also too on your menu that you have the value duets. Right. Which I thought was a good idea to try to bring people back in for that lunch time frame, because it's your grilled cheese and tomato soup, something that's, still that warm and hearty, but also something that can help you during that lunchtime. But probably also worked out really well during the winter factor too, right? Because it's so cold that people want to come in and maybe take a break from their work, their work time.
Totally, and to signal to our guests and to consumers in general that Panera can be, of course, an elevated experience because the quality of the food is crafted, the best ingredients, but it's also great value for money. So mm-hmm. we have to convey that image of value for money. So you're paying a reasonable price for an amazing experience, and duets is one of those expressions, and doing well.
Awesome. Let's talk post-pandemic, or what you're kind of doing now. So I saw that you're redesigning your stores, and I think over what I read, there was about 45% of your stores are drive-thrus, and you're actually opening up 10, I guess, stores that are kind of like your guinea pigs in a sense, that they are your next generation cafes, which I thought was extremely innovative, specifically for the QSR category. Do you want to go into a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm amazed with your research. You got everything right. So well done. No, look, the way we think about the concept that we call next generation is the best of both worlds, right?
Hmm.
Of course, the market shifted off premise, and of course, digital capabilities and the digital experience, are here to stay, and people want that, etc. So tick, right? And we are the leaders on that. However, given the nature of our concept, we're a bakery cafe, we believe that we can take that thinking, but add a very differentiated eat-in experience centered on our bakery expertise that we call bakery theater. And with that, those next generation cafes, they will be packed with technology and convenience. So dual lane drive-thrus, overhead, everything that you read everybody doing. But we want to double down on the experience itself. We believe that our cafes, they are the temples of our brands. They're the best manifestation of the Panera brands. And the Panera brand is about, this amazing place that you delight all your senses. Why? Because our ingredients are clean and fresh. The food is, curated by chefs, and we bake bread fresh every day on our cafes. So what if we can celebrate that? Instead of baking bread, for instance, during the night, as we do today, we're going to move that to the day. And then we have bakers, right? We have 3,000 bakers baking in front of the guests, interacting with them, and celebrating that craft of making bread and pastries and the things that we do super well. And suddenly you have an experience that's very interactive, and people can sample what's out of the oven during the day. Not to mention the aroma of a freshly baked bread during the day. It's it's the most probably delicious thing there is. So our next generation cafes are going to be packed with technology and convenience, but tripling down on that experience that manifests what the brand stands for. And that's what next gen is for us. We will open the first one, to your point, in November in the St. Louis area, which is our home market. And from there, we're going to expand fast.
Wonderful. And I think what I saw too was that your dual drive-throughs, not only is it going to be, you're going to have one lane that's specifically dedicated for people who do off-premise ordering, right? And let's see any of the, what is it, like the Ubers of the world or something like that, to be able to get those people in and out as soon as possible. What went into that decision making? Because I know sometimes when I've gone to Panera, sometimes it's a little bit slower than most QSRs, and I take it because the food is actually made to order. It's not just pre-made ahead of time. Was that the rationale behind doing that, is just because it may take a little bit longer if you just go through the drive-thru? So if you do it this way, it'll just be a little quicker.
Exactly that. So our value proposition is very different from QSR, right? We make food for you according to your order, so it's made to you and fresh, and we let you customize heavily your order, so you can insert or take out whatever you want, so it becomes a much differentiated experience. But of course, there is a trade-off, which is because we're making from scratch everything that you order, things are fresher, but it takes a little longer, right? What we learned with the pandemic, we knew that already, but it just accelerated, is a lot of people who order digitally. Mm-hmm. They prefer to order ahead so that they gain that time, that they're still driving to the cafe, and the food starts to get prepared. They show up and just pick up. So we do that today with rapid pickup or curbside. We're going to extend that logic of order ahead to the drive-thrus. So that's the idea there. And you still have the drive-thrus that you show up on the window and you order on the spot. That's fine. It's going to be a little longer because the food has to be prepared still. But but that's the optionality that we give to our guests, and we believe is going to be very well received.
Yeah, I mean, right now I take my daughter to her dance class. While I'm waiting there, I place my order and then I go and pick it up. So I think as soon as that drive-through hits, I'm going to get out there even faster. So I'm excited not having to actually go in and go get my food. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully it comes into the Clemens, North Carolina location sooner rather than later. If you just put that on there as your little checklist, like which one we're going to do next. I'd be happy about that way.
You probably can do that today with curbside, right? If you order on curbside, you don't have to leave your car. You
That's
just
true.
stay there. People bring the food to you. We're just going to add drive-thru to that experience.
Yeah, just makes it so much faster, so many more touch points that can actually be touchless, which is kind of interesting.
Totally.
As more and more states, actually, before we go into the next question, I want to make sure that people know that we're looking for questions. So if people want to put questions in to ask Eduardo, I'm more than happy to add your questions and outside just mine. Okay, now that I did that little portion. With more and more states lifting their restrictions, how do you foresee that impacting your drive-thru? You said earlier it's 85% is drive-thru or off-premise. Do you foresee that shifting heavily back the other way, or is it going to be more and more like what do you guys expect that to look like?
Yeah, so what we're seeing, and again, there are some states like Texas, Florida, that have been open for a while now. So we have those data points, right? What we're seeing so far is actually impressive, because we're seeing that the guests that came to us off premise, they're sticking with us as the guests that prefer to come and eating, they're coming back. So we are seeing that that demand that was created during the pandemic is sticking with us, even if eating and on-premise recovers. This is a data point that we have from Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and it's actually really encouraging for us. If we can stay that way, it's going to be amazing post-pandemic.
Awesome. This actually is kind of a question that's going into people are sending in stuff now, so thank you for doing that. But I do have another one. Panera's always been on the forefront of innovation in the sense that you were one of the first fast food QSR companies to actually put calorie counts on your menu. But you've actually done something recently around carbon footprints. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So we have a very well-established food belief system that we call food beliefs, and the umbrella concept on our food beliefs is food that you'll be proudly served to your own family. And there we have a bunch of pillars that we respect a lot, and we don't compromise: clean, fresh, responsibly sourced, responsibly raised for animals, and all of that. And that has been with Panera for a long time now, is part of our identity, right? We added a fourth pillar under food beliefs that we call respect for the planet. And on respect for the planet, we believe that we have a role to play as a restaurant provider to raise awareness to the carbon impact of what you eat, what you consume. So what we did is we partnered with the World Resources Institute, which is a think tank, and we created a label called Cool Foods label. And then that label flags the menu items that comply with the amount of carbon emissions that the World Resources Institute recommends, so that we can achieve collectively the Paris Agreement for climate by 2030. So right now, 55% of our menu is compliant. But the most important part is that we are creating this awareness. Say, hey, whatever choice you make, you are impacting the environment with your carbon footprint. And the idea to flag what is kind of under the threshold, and it's a very compelling idea, because we start to educate people about what they can do actively as consumers to help the climate change and the issue and the climate front. So it's Panera again being pioneers in terms of educating the public and taking the lead on a cause that we believe is important, climate change. And that's ongoing. You go to our properties, our menu, etc. You see the foods that you choose that comply with cool food labels, and we continue to do that and expand this awareness.
Awesome. I think other QSRs are definitely going to join on, and I'm glad that you guys are leading, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next innovation that you guys come in that everyone else wants to jump on board. So that kind of leads me to my next question is, so now that we understand that, hopefully the pandemic will be over soon, what do you foresee as the consumer's behavior when it comes to interacting with the QSR industry? Are they
Right.
going to stay the same? Or we kind of addressed this a little bit before, but what do you think that they're going to move forward with?
Right. Look, two things, right? One, some of the behaviors that changed because of the pandemic are going to stick. I think it's unlikely that we're going to see people working from offices the way they worked before, right? I think it's very unlikely. Of course, it depends on the industry and all that, but I believe that working from home is going to be a higher percentage of the workforce than before. So we are preparing ourselves for that, number one. The second is, with the pandemic, getting behind us again, knock on wood, of course, people are rebuilding their routines and rearranging the way they want to live their lives. And of course, the working from home component is a huge component of that, because if you're not commuting every day somewhere, etc., suddenly your life revolves around a different center of gravity, right? Which is more your home than your office, right? In terms of hours that you spend there, etc. So we are prepared to serve our guests the way they prefer to be served. We believe that working from home sticks. We believe that off-premise sticks. But we also believe that people, when sometimes they will want an amazing eating experience that is higher layered and interesting and has theater and is more than just like a soulless experience. And that's why we're creating Next Gen, when people want to have that eating experience also.
Wonderful. So I think it's time for our questions from the panel. So here's one. Are you adjusting your marketing and digital transformation innovations, or investing more in the 2 to 3 year span? I don't know if that makes any sense. I could try doing it again. But yeah, I guess the question overall is your marketing and digital plans, are they changing based on what you did? I don't even know how to describe it because I don't really understand the question, but I'm going to rephrase this. Are you adjusting how you're doing your marketing from what you previously did before to what you're doing now? And do you foresee that as a 2 to 3 year innovation, or are you going to look beyond that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I get it. The answer is yes. Again, to meet our guests where they are and how they want to consume Panera, we had to shift our mix. So as we discussed before, we try to be more, broader on our loyalty program with subscriptions that will continue. That's a shift from where we were before. The second thing is the way we're deploying our media across channels, and could be digital, could be traditional. We try to focus on a radii of 3 to 5 miles around each cafe, so that we create what we call like a density of consumption that is more profitable to serve, just because you have to travel less miles to get to that person, right? So we change our approach to be focused on the cafes. And when I say that, I say digital, social, sometimes traditional media like outdoors and billboards, but also on top of that, our loyalty program, talking to people that are members, and we have a more personal interaction. So those shifts are bringing results to us, and we believe that's where we have to meet those consumers. But again, we'll continue to learn and evolve the model as we progress.
Awesome. So you kind of touched upon this when you talked about the carbon footprint, but maybe there's other things that I'm not aware of that you can elaborate on. So the question is, what are Panera's corporate responsibility innovation? How is the company focusing on the purchase drive-through marketing?
So the question is about our corporate responsibility innovation.
Corporate responsibility, yep. And how are you focusing that on your purpose-driven marketing?
Right. Oh, very good. Look, again, we believe we have a higher purpose than just sell your lunch or dinner, right? And that commitment is part of our DNA as a company, and we're very proud of that, right? So we have amazing leaders in the company that lead this agenda for us. So some of those commitments, they are here, for some time, and we're keeping them and expanding them, like, clean ingredients, responsibly raised animals, selectively sourcing ingredients. All of that is in place, and we're adding respect for the planet as the fourth pillar, right? Now, those things are alive, right? They continue to evolve, right? So when you look to what we have to do next on that space with our company and our brands, two things are very important to us. One, the climate thing that I mentioned. The second one is the efforts that we're trying to do to progress the agenda of diversity, equality, and inclusion. For us, it's super important. Um, I mean, as everybody else, we're behind where we should be, and we're trying really hard to close the gap and become a more inclusive place, and make Panera the place that we want the world to be. So we take it extremely seriously, and that's another pillar that we bring into life behind our ESG strategy.
Awesome. Oh, Emily is on. I think we are done.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to pop back in at the end just to thank you both so much. So appreciate you being a part of our CAN program virtually. Hopefully next year we can be back in person. But for now, we so appreciate you taking the time and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Cerisse. Thanks for the questions.
Very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay well. Thank you.
Well, a huge thank you to all of our speakers and moderators who joined throughout today's program. And we're so excited to continue with our virtual CAN program over the next 2 days. So we hope you all will tune back in tomorrow, Wednesday, June 23rd, for our day 3, starting at 11:20 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be hearing from marketing leaders from Planet Fitness, Headspace, T-Mobile, PepsiCo, and many more. So thank you again, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.